Hello there, this is James Oscroft, the year is 1978. In the previous video, Lindsay Ellis, I explained how all of the supposed biting social commentary in Joker 2019 was smoke and mirrors, an illusion constructed entirely from ripping off Taxi Driver and making shit up to move the plot forward. And similarly, Parasite, the other greatest movie of 2019, if not of all time, another telling example of what I refer to as the Hayao Miyazaki or Cowboy Bebop effect, in which people are so mesmerized by the stunning presentation that they conveniently ignore the fact that what little plot does exist is mind-numbingly banal, cliched, and or makes no vampire sunbathing sense. Like the Martin Scorsese fanboy who co-wrote and directed Taxi Driver 2, This Time He Wears Clown Makeup, Bong Joon-ho had a cool idea that looked amazing on screen and, to his credit, created something largely, if not entirely original, instead of simply ripping off the iconic work of another director. But when you get past all of the mesmerizing visuals, revelations, and thoroughly engaging character dynamics, although to be honest, so many relationships and questions in this movie were just left completely unexplored and then abandoned entirely when they discovered the secret hidden in the basement and the actual plot kicked in. In short, when you get past all of the window dressing, flash and flim-flam, just as is the case with Taxi Driver 2, all of the movie's themes about poverty, inequality and injustice that everyone is so quick to praise to the high heavens are entirely superfluous and superficial. Like not Travis Bickle taking a gun into the children's hospital, the poor dad suddenly and violently attacking the rich dad out of nowhere at the end, triggering a convenient clusterfuck of chaos and tragedy, makes no sense of any kind except as a plot contrivance that was the only way Bong Joon-ho could think of to trigger the super cool ending that he was so fucking pleased with. Seriously, I can imagine him grinning like a Cheshire cat as he contrived the Morse code bullshit, which was probably the entire reason why he made the film.
Fuck you!
Not, I hasten to add, that the movie is bad by any stretch of the imagination. After all, Bong Joon-ho is one of the greatest living South Korean film directors, a list that includes the likes of Park Chan-wook, Hong Sang-soo, and my ever-beloved Kim Ki-duk. This guy knows what he's doing behind the camera, and I, for one, would give Parasite 6 out of 10, meaning that although I enjoyed it in the moment, I have no interest in repeat viewings. But like Us and Get Out by Jordan Peele, which I already panned in the videos Lindsay Ellis, and also films such as Cloud Atlas, a movie that on the surface is filled with the aesthetics and themes of overcoming oppression, like setting a film in World War II and not saying anything about fascism or the Holocaust because the setting is just the context for the story, a reason for the two sides to be fighting, and otherwise little more than window dressing, Bong Joon-ho was so obsessed with showing off his cool ideas that his film, which is supposedly about how dehumanizing the poor and inequality are bad things, forgot to actually say anything about those issues. Because when you ask the fundamental question of why this happened, why did the creator write the story in this way, the protagonists being poor and willing to exploit a rich family's gullibility was nothing but a backwards engineered reason to get the poor family into the house to discover the secret in the basement so that Bong Joon-ho could show off his cool idea about using Morse code.
Okay, now, what does all this mean? It means nothing. It means nothing!
And why is this a problem? Why can't I let you just enjoy the film without quote-unquote nitpicking? Because A, we deserve better, and B, because there is no more damning indictment of our society than the fact that all the filmmaker has to do is add the illusion of biting social commentary, and you fall for it every fucking time. Because most of our art and entertainment is so devoid of substance, so terrified of biting the hand that feeds it, that to repeat one analogy that I used years ago, and a friend of mine keeps repeating as if to spite me, we'll happily eat shaving cream and declare that it's the greatest ice cream that we've ever tasted. Like simply tweeting Black Lives Matter or 3 black squares without any context, message, or even genuine understanding, we are honestly naive and ignorant enough to believe that simply mentioning or showing an issue, not even discussing it, but merely acknowledging that it exists in the real world in the most meaningless way possible is enough, often doing more harm, or at the very least, insulting the people who are actually suffering. And worse, as in the case of Joker 2019, like a corporation using a rainbow logo during Pride Month, we are letting companies that spend hundreds of millions to make billions in ticket sales and merchandising trick us into believing that giving them money and free advertising is an act of protest in defiance of the system and the man. So for the love of the great holy donkey, I beg you all, regardless of how amazing it may be from a purely aesthetic standpoint, before you praise a work of fiction as a profound and hard-hitting insight tackling an important social issue, take a step back and analyse it more closely. Is the creator actually saying anything, or is it simply a contrivance, a cliche or context that just happened to be convenient? Or even worse, did they cynically crowbar it into the story apropos of nothing, merely to earn more progressive woke brownie points?
Seems like meaningfully addressing any of these societal problems in the text of their films would mean that Disney would have to really acknowledge its own past. Which, well, that's not really why these films have meta-commentary now, is it? They aren't woke to make the world better, they're woke for you to buy stuff.
Next, we have the singing Jasmine doll from Hasbro, inspired by the Disney's Aladdin movie. Jasmine is smart, she's funny, she's brave.
It's a whole new world to lean into.
And all the girlies say I'm pretty fly for a white guy.